Hi, everyone. Is this on? It is on. Okay. Thank you, Rob. Interesting enough, with Rob, he's absolutely correct. I've worked with Impartner for quite a few years. And today, when we were talking about what are we going to have you kind of discuss with the crowd, and I'm like, oh my God, this is easy. I'm like, we have something going right now that Rob and I actually talked about a few months ago, and it's all about lead generation. But how many people here always go to a company and say, hey, I need leads? And how many times have they said, oh, absolutely? Figures. Okay. So this is where Impartner actually has a very different outlook of differentiating themselves. And this is where me as a client over the last few years have noticed just complete growth with them. But before I get into that, for those of you that don't know me, I wanted to kind of give a little bit of background so you know that I'm a regular person. I do love my job. And I know a lot of us sit out there and going, oh my God, I've worked 12 hours today. I just can't go home right now. And you go crazy. But I'm just like everybody else in the sense that there's a lot going on and I wanted to share with you who I am. But can we go to I'm going to do it, right? Yeah? Perfect. So for those of you that don't know, I moved to Texas last year in April 6th to be exact. And I moved for this current job that I'm at, which is Titan Cloud Storage. And it was a great refresher for me because a lot changed in my life for the past year or so. And so I'm excited that I'm here in Austin because I drove from Dallas this morning. So it was kind of cool to see all the different scenes and stuff. So I came from Southern California and I spent a lot of time there. So for me, as you guys know in the channel, it's all about building relationships. And building those relationships that matter are the ones that you want to make sure you have within your ecosystem. I know all of us could go out there and say, I have thousands of connections, but do we want thousands of connections in our partner program that may not work? It's all about building that relationship and trust with the ones that you know will do the business with you. For me, family is always first. As much as I'm on the road, as much as I'm doing all of the work, if it wasn't for my kids, my parents, and of course that little white guy right there, Bear is his name, I wouldn't enjoy what I do today. And so with my family, they knew what I was getting into about 8 or 9 years ago. It was a discussion that I said, look, mom's going to be on the road probably for a good 2 years. And they're like, 2 years? We're never going to see you? I'm like, no, I'll be home on the weekends. So it was a discussion. And at that time, my kids were 12 and 15. And I know every mom out there is like, well, hold on a second. That's the age we have to be home. And every night at all the events before dinner, I would call them, FaceTime. Once it was time for their bedtime, I'd go upstairs to my bedroom or in the hotel and stay on that phone for a good 30 minutes as long as I knew they were good. And then I'd go back and do my thing. But family first, because guess what? That's the relationship you're going to have for life. And then passion, definitely for personal growth. I actually had someone the other day come up to me and said, how long have you been in the channel? I'm like, well, that's a two-part question or answer. Directly, I started in 2016. Indirectly, I started way back then. I was on the direct sales side. And what I did was every single opportunity when I was a front sales rep, not one of my opportunities that I worked with was not with a partner. Because I thought about it, I'm like, why am I going to work harder, work smarter? These partners know each and every business unit of their customers, and they're going to be able to teach me on how to be able to go ahead and build that trust and relationship that they have with their customers. And as I started learning and understanding their needs and wants, they're like, look, you came from the direct side, you worked with us, you helped us, you've gone through different types of customers, or suppliers that you've worked with, you've gotten an idea of what it takes to be successful. Just tell me that you have tools, resources, and you're there to go ahead and make me win and help my personal growth with my company. Because remember, 9 out of 10 times, these partners are entrepreneurs. A lot of them started from their garage. And so you have to have that mentality of how am I going to go ahead and make this partner trust me? You got to be literally an extension of their business, and you got to be there to understand what it's going to take for them to grow. And so that personal growth for me is also a part of their growth. And of course, the well-being. For those of you that don't know, I just did about 2 weeks ago my third half marathon, and I didn't train for this one, which was hard because I had signed up last year when I did the 5K, because I was out for a good 4 years because I had knee problems. And I said last year when I did the 5K in California, I signed up right there on the spot for the half marathon, going, this is a year from now. I'm going to get to that. That's my goal. Flash forward, I moved to Dallas, got a new job, doing this, doing that, didn't realize, and all of a sudden, a month out, the email comes, get ready for your half marathon. I'm like, oh, I have 1 month. But think about that in the day-to-day business. Your boss is like, this is what you got to do. And all of a sudden, you've got all this stuff on your plate, and you go, oh, shoot, I got to get this going. And you have less than a month. It's the mentality of how you can get it done and just working the different ways around it, the tools, the resources that you have. And I remember going, well, and it was cold here in Texas in the last month. Remember, for those of you that live here, we had snow. I couldn't run. I'm like, I'm not running in negative 17 degrees. What? No. 2 weeks before, it finally came to like the 40-degree mark. And that's the same weather pattern in Southern California during the run. So I'm like, you know what? Go do it. I think I was only able to do 4 miles. So I went, this is going to be an interesting half marathon. Okay. So I get to SoCal and I'm like, just, you know what? You have 3 goals. Finish it in under 3 hours. And the first 3 miles, just run without stopping. If I could do that, then I'm going to get it done. And I got it done. So I was like, yes. And it was 2 hours and 40 minutes. And I was very happy with that. So there are times where as you're like talking to partners and they have goals and you're going, okay, you need to do it down to, bite-sized pieces, and then understand how to get that done in a timely manner with them is the biggest thing, because as we all know, they want it yesterday and we can't get that done yesterday. So that's a little bit about me and how I kind of think day to day, just so that you guys kind of understand how I work day to day. Channel leadership, knowledge, and perspective. Yeah. So 2016 was when I first started, directly and indirectly, like I said, 20 plus years in sales, but I've grown based off of different mentors that helped me. For those of you, there's Janet Shines from the JS group, who literally helps me on a daily basis. We have Teresa Carrigal, Achieve Unite, who's helped me as well, from literally learning how to work with channel programs and training. So for those of you out there, when you're doing channel programs, what's the number one thing you think of when you're talking to the C-suite? How are you going to convince them to make a channel program work? So as far as getting to that point, Teresa has helped me how to get to understanding what I need to do to kind of convince those C-suite. And so that knowledge has helped with all the different mentors I've had over the years. So a little bit about my journey to where I've been. I've built channel programs literally from scratch, to the point where they had nothing but a few partners, spreadsheets, just literally everything was manual. And so I remember going from a large telco company that I started in direct sales, went to channel, and then moved to a UCaaS company and was under the leadership of John Delosier. Pretty much taught me how to watch what's going on and how to kind of work things around with these partners. And he said the number one thing, he goes, when you're in a room with executives, whether it's the partners or their customers, just listen. Just listen to what they're saying, and they're going to literally be able to answer a lot of questions. And so over the years, kind of did that. And then I remember this one CEO of a critical event management company said, hey, can you come over here and start a whole new channel program for us? And I'm like, huh? Me? I was like, okay. So I call them a 20-year startup because they were still trying to get their name brand out there. They had no channel program. They had partners, but they didn't know how to work with them. They didn't have the relationships. They didn't understand what tools they needed. They didn't understand what type of research or resources they needed. They didn't understand the go-to market strategy for them whatsoever. And so I had to first of all go, well, hold on a second. Who is this company? Critical Event Management. Is that going to fit in our channel industry? Is the partner actually going to understand what to and how to sell it? So I had to do a lot of market research, understanding those right fit of partners. Because again, we can go all the way to all our connections, but if that fit of partners isn't going to be able to sell that product, regardless of how many tools and resources you have, it's not going to work out. So building that, and then as far as the onboarding process, oh my goodness. I guess that question comes down to how many of you guys built an onboarding process? I'm going to ask you, how did it go? The first time. Because I'm sure you've done.
Because it did evolve. The first time it was a little overwhelming because we're trying to figure out how to engage the partners to even want to go through an onboarding program. And then once we built some more structure around it and created like a graduation program and offered incentives for going through the onboarding program.
You just said incentives. So it's like you're buying the partner to get through your onboarding. How did that go? Be honest.
I think it wasn't so much buying. I would call it like a win-win type of situation. Like we wanted them to be able to have more access to our licenses and our tools so that they would understand the product better and they'd be able to promote it. But we didn't want to give it to everyone. We wanted to give it to
Okay.
those that would join the onboarding program.
Okay. How many have gone through that too? Like just trying to get the partner to get to your onboarding. Yeah. It's one of the hardest things because you know how many times that they've done that? Thousands. Thousands. Think about that. And then on top of that, while you're doing the onboarding, what's the number one thing, the first thing you guys think of to do onboard? Let me show you our partner portal. And they're like, oh, everybody's got the same portal. How do you differentiate yourself when you're doing that? Not just you, but you as the company, because you're the brand of the company. And you've literally got to go out there and be like, okay, what's different about this company than any other? And that is probably, like I said, the hardest thing because now you've got to go out there and go, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Partner, I can show you why. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. And then, of course, establishing clear communication channels to literally eliminate any, I didn't understand that, or this was a misunderstanding. That's where your relationships and trust come into play. And I can truly say when I'm moving from one company to another, because I do a lot of contracted services, specifically in the last 5 years has been with startups, I literally make sure when I'm each company that the partners understand what I'm doing. Now, do I reach out to every single partner? Because I know it's only a strategic certain set of partners. And I don't have time to get everybody. Time is of the essence as you're trying to build these startups. So that's from scratch. Then someone said, hey, Jasmina, now that you've done this is great. You've done a great job. How many of you heard when you're doing your job, now we don't need you anymore because you've done your job? Or, hey, you've done a really good job. And they know, things are coming up and they're like, okay, now we're done. And I'm not bad-mouthing the companies by any chance. It's, you've done your job. Now what? So here comes another company that comes to me and says it's an AI company, startup. And when I say startup, I went from, and I should have probably said this, the telco company of 65,000 employees down to a UCaaS company of 1,800 employees, down to the critical event management company to 900 employees, down to the AI company, 600 employees, and I'll go to the next one. So it just keeps going down. But each one has a different type of program because each one is not to the level of where they need to be. So that's why they bring us on. So I get to this AI company, they're like, we have a partner program, but we need to tweak it. And I'm like, oh. How many times have we pivoted in our channel programs? Go ahead, raise your hand, raise your hand. Oh my God. How about that Friends episode with pivot, pivot. Every time I hear the word pivot, I just see that picture and I'm like, okay. And how many times have we successfully pivoted? And I'm going to be honest with you. How many times have we failed? I'm being honest. Not once, not twice, 3 times. And you know what? That's okay, because that's the only way you're going to learn. If you think you can do it by yourself every time and not look at yourself and go, oh, it wasn't my fault, then you're not in the right industry, because in the channel itself, we will fail multiple times. And unless you don't learn from it, that's a problem. And I can truly say, without the people that I've worked with and worked for, I can't say thank you enough for them. One of which is Impartner, because I've used multiple types, and this isn't just, to say it's Impartner or whatever. It's true. I've used different partner portals, Webfinity, Zift, 360 Insights, and Impartner right now, I think I've used 2 or 3 times in the course of the last 5, 6 years. So to me, it comes down to, what are my partners asking for? Because it's not my portal. I hope it's not our portal. It's the extension of their business. And so when I was asked to revamp this AI company's portal, it was kind of weird. Like, the interview was all about the portal. And I'm like, well, how's your program? How many partners do you have? Oh, we've got hundreds. I'm like, well, how many are active? Oh, we got plenty. I'm like, oh, I know where this is going. I'm like, what is it about the portal that you're not liking? Well, we just spent over $200,000. I'm like, well, that's a problem. I'm $200,000 on a portal? That doesn't make sense. So in the interview, instead of me talking about me, I was assessing their channel program. I was trying to understand, what are their problems? What is it that they're doing wrong? Why the heck did they spend $200,000 on a portal? It made no sense. So I asked them to give me literally a SWOT, strength, weakness, all that, literally. And the guy looked at me like, you're doing what? I'm like, yeah, I'm doing a SWOT on you. They kind of just stared at me like, you're the first person to do it. I said, because I've gone through this way too many times. I'm not going to do it again. And they did. They gave me their strengths, their weaknesses, and literally the portal was a different company. It had barely any type of marketing, any tools that were valid for a partner. And I said, okay, hold on. So with all of that, I said, okay, would you mind if I did a survey with your partners? They're like, but you're not even here. I go, then you do the survey. Go ahead and do the survey. Get it done, see what your partners come back with. I go, first of all, have you done the survey? He goes, well, no, we just assumed. I'm like, you can't assume. They did the survey, and I said, and I'll sign an NDA. You tell me, once it's done, I'll take a look at it. And sure enough, every one of them was, I'm into too many portals. I'm not going to sign into yours. It doesn't give me anything. And of course, there was no collateral. There was no incentives. There was no webinar updates. There was no generation of anything that would have helped their business. And so that's when I said, well, here's what we're going to need to do. I gave them a 90-day plan. How many of you guys have done that when you're on an interview? Now, does it ever stick? Is it because, I like this. What's your name, sir? You need to explain, because your head just keeps going, oh my God, I've done this. Give me an example.
You mean a 90-day plan? Does it stick?
Exactly. What happened? You don't have to go through the 90 days, but.
Day 2, the goals and objectives change, right? It's constant change.
Yep.
I don't know what I'm on 90 days from time.
Okay. How many have had that? Quite a few, huh? Oh my gosh. It's crazy. You give them a 90-day, and all of a sudden, day 2, day 3, maybe even day 7, they're like, well, something's changed. And you're like, oh my God, here we go again. So you need to take like I said, gathering that feedback from the partners is crucial, because again, it's not our portal. It's not even our program. It's their program. We're looking at it on how they're going to become successful. You need to provide the right tools and resources. Implementing tweaks, yeah. Adjusting incentives. I remember this same company. They were like, well, let's just give them $25 every time they, bring a lead. I'm like, you know what? I'll just give them $25. Because an incentive is an incentive. But I've had, which is interesting, when I asked partners, I'm like, what kind of incentives do you guys want to see? They're like, you know what? Keep your incentives and take that money and spend it on resources and tools. We don't need incentives. You guys already pay us enough in commission. And I was like, are you kidding me? They're like, no. Do maybe an end of year so you guys could close strong something, but do not sit there and just constantly give us incentives. Take that money and give us new tools. I'm like, okay, sure. And then from a measuring success perspective, how many of you have tools today that can provide you the proper metrics for success? Okay. Shocking. Because, and I'm saying that as sarcastic because it's not shocking. I was one of them until about, Rob, when was it that we started this? Yeah, about a year ago, when I was like, okay, here's the problems. And this is the thing about Rob. I think we talk like 2 or 3 times a month. And I'm like, look, here's my challenge right now, this month. What are we going to do about it? And he's all, and I like the first time, he goes, what do you mean we? I'm like, we. You're going to help me? You're going to help me out here. And his creativity really kind of made sense in the aspect of what I needed to kind of move my program forward. And a lot of that has to do with his creativity and what I'm doing. And so I'm going to bring him on stage to kind of work with me on this as far as what we did. And it's a tool. Come on up. Well, come on up.
I was just waiting for permission, like always.
So this is, and I'm going to have him kind of really deep dive more into the tool, but I want to get into why it makes sense. It literally is a brand new way of a lead generation, which, why would you think a partner portal would even do that? Go for it.
Yeah, so, I mean, Jazz actually partnered with TD SYNNEX for some BDR help in generating demand for Titan Cloud. So how many partners in the ecosystem, Matt, today? Yeah. So 30,000 partners we're trying to tap in. And so part of the agreement between Titan Cloud and TD SYNNEX was for a BDR team to start calling on the 30,000 partners and saying, hey, you've got to learn about Titan Cloud. It's like this other, product that you're already familiar with. Are you interested in joining the program, right? So 2 challenges. One is TD SYNNEX needs to show work. It's like, here's our work product. This is what we've brought you. Here's the attribution of all of our BDR activity, not just for the partner signing up, but any deal that the partner then brings into the program needs to be attributed to TD SYNNEX for that fun little 3% type, kicker, right? And then Jazz needs to justify her decision to go with TD SYNNEX to her boss and say, hey, we've spent this money with TD SYNNEX. Here is the result.
Not to mention also the portal.
Yeah, always justifying that. So what we've done with Impartner, we have a module called Referrals, and it's usually for partners to take a link, send it out. If somebody signs up, they get credit. We kind of turned it on its head. So am I? Sure. What do I need to do here?
Is there a sales engineer in the house?
Help desk ticket.
Oh, and by the way, before they get on there, we signed with TD SYNNEX less than 6 months ago, and I've worked with them for 5 years in different aspects. And so just to give you an idea, less than 6 months, probably even less than 3 months based off of onboarding and what have you, will give you an idea how many leads we have so far.
Okay. All right. So we set up Sonia. Sonia is one of the TD SYNNEX BDRs. Okay. So every BDR that's working with Titan Cloud gets set up as a user.
A unique.
Yep.
Yep.
And as they sign up, our referral module generates a code. And this code sends any click to this page. So this is a joint advertised page that says, hey, you are an existing TD SYNNEX partner. You're being recruited by a TD SYNNEX employee to learn more about this program of Titan Clouds. And if the partner is interested, they fill out the form. okay? And the form, through our workflow, generates an applicant. We send an email alert just about to everybody in the Titan Cloud company that says, there is a partner with their hand raised. Let's go attack them and learn more about them and see if there's a match, right? Every applicant is attributed to that form. That form fill is attributed to the individual who sent the link. And when they sign up as an account, we're using parent-child relationship to show TD SYNNEX as the parent, and any partner who has signed up through this referral program as a child. So running a report that says, show me all the deals that came from TD SYNNEX partners is a click of a button, right? So just kind of a unique way that we've leveraged the referral object in not recruiting essentially deal registration-esque leads, but recruiting partners out of the TD SYNNEX ecosystem so that a new brand in the market can kind of come up to speed very, very quickly and compete against some of the top tier type hot backup and storage companies in the market today.
And based on this, because we just started this a few months ago, literally in 1 week, we got, no joke, I think it was like 10 leads. 10 leads. And when I say leads, remember, it's partner recruitment, the type that would fit. Because the Sonias of the world are the ones that would be like, okay, here's my partner list. Which ones would fit into this program for Titan? She calls or she emails and says, hey, there's another supplier in our line card. We think it would fit with you. If you're interested, here's a link. Or like I said, she'll be on a call qualifying that partner. And the partner's like, yes, please, I want to get more info. And literally in that 1 week, 10 leads.
And the BDR sort of is in love with this because, again, she's got 20 different brands that she's repping. She's not an expert on Titan Cloud, but she can immediately get Titan Cloud's branding and messaging in front of her line card just as quickly as possible. And then we're tracking her credit. So, hey, Sonia, great job. We just got 3 from your clicks. Go do more. Like, congrats. Like, this is working. So just that reporting and that data-driven emphasis on success has been really, really helpful.
Yep. Not to mention also, which we were just talking last week, it can be customized to a certain extent, because I'm not going to say if it can be completely customized, but there was a couple things that I had brought up to Rob last week. I'm like, hey, during one of our times that we're looking at the reporting, Sonia's manager, for example, said, hey, is there any way, because we gave him access to the TD SYNNEX portion of our PRM. And he goes, I would love to see if I can get access to also see, how many of these that she's doing or anybody on my team. And then it came around and we found out where Sonia's like, well, yeah, I sent out, quite a few, I think like 1,000. And she goes, but, and she's like looking at some of the names and she goes, I don't know who this one is. I don't know who. And I'm like, huh. So we're like, well, I go, Rob. And then we figured out, she goes, oh, hold on. This is what I did. Because she also sells internally to the TD SYNNEX sales reps of the different business units. So she's a part of the referral program. She now also has to sell into the GCC team, the Fed team, the SLED team, the mid-market team, the MSP team about who Titan is. So there's so many business units at TD SYNNEX. Matt, probably, you could sit up here and for hours go into it. Okay. So based on that, she's like, I'm wondering which sales rep sent it to their partner. So that's when we talked about it. I'm like, Rob, is there any way that if that BDR sends it internally to sales rep to, the partner, we can figure out who did it? So we're coming up with other ways. So again, certain customizable ways can happen, but that's the other thing. Ease of doing business with these guys. You come up with these ideas or something's happening based off of your client or your partner and they're giving you that feedback. You're like, I wonder if we can do this. And that's where I think with Impartner, with all the times I've ever used you guys, it's never been a no, we can't, or no, it's going to take time, or no. I've never heard a no. It's always been, let's see what we can possibly do, because the client partner relationship is that strong. Not to mention with TD SYNNEX, when they're the ones coming to me saying, is there a possibility that we can do this? I'm like, well, hey, partner, can we do this? it's that trust and relationship that's been built. And in this case, it's a three-way partnership. TD SYNNEX, Impartner, and Titan. And that's the way we become successful. And that's the way we can help grow the partnership as well with the new partners. So basically, from an application perspective, I've been working, like I said, with Robb and Impartner for quite some time. I've done the different types of partner portals, but to me, really nothing compares because of how much of a differentiator this is amongst the competition. I can truly say I don't think any of the other PRM companies can do something like this. Maybe they have a different way. Personally, I'm going to be honest, I don't care because I've already been able to show my ROI with my company as well as the growth potential with TD SYNNEX, because that's my priority, by the way, Matt. Just letting you know. So every time I do one of these types of sessions, I always come up with a quote, but every time I come up with a quote, it's always this one. I've got other quotes, but this one always sticks out. And I remember seeing this years ago. How many of us have been at jobs where we're so stressed and we just kind of sit there and go, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to do my job because I have to. I'm just going to say it, me. And honestly, it's just like Simon Sinek says, working hard for something we don't care about is called stress. But working hard for something that we love is called passion. I think my passion has been channel. My passion has been building that relationship, not just with our partners, but people who also support me and building those programs, Impartner, one of them. I can't do my job without anybody that helps and supports me. And that's even to say my peers in other companies in the industry. You know, that's the other thing. It's like going out there talking to my peers, even if it's the competition. You take competition out, you talk about the challenges you're faced with, you listen to what they've gone through, and the grass isn't any greener on the other side. But when you hear about those challenges, all of a sudden something clicks in your head and you're like, oh, wait, I didn't think about that. That's where the passion comes in, because you're sitting there going, I got this. And you turn around and you just keep going. And for me, that's how it's been. I'm like, I'm not going to take something that's a challenge and be like, I give up. I can't give up. First of all, I still want to go and travel the world. I'm not that old. I still want to go out there. So that to me is just probably one of the best quotes I've ever seen and heard. So that's the one I do. But that's pretty much what I have. I mean, if you guys have questions, I could open it up to Q&A. I don't think there was anything else. Yeah. There's no questions? Seriously? Okay. Matt?
I'll tee one up. So, of the 30,000 partners, I'm sure you didn't want to start with that big of a base. So, what kind of work did you do to, and going back to the lead program and getting those first 10 leads, how did you build the ideal partner profile, if I'm saying that? Your language. How did you build that so you can narrow it down to, let's go target these 300?
Great question. So when I started about 14 months ago, I did a lot of research in the cloud storage business. And you've got so many out there. You've got your hyperscalers. And I consider myself, you know, with Titan, we're not a competition to them because, first of all, they're hyperscalers. The AWS, for those that don't know, AWS, Google, Microsoft. And then we've got the ones that are kind of equal to us, which in this case, Wasabi, 1111, even sometimes Rackspace. And I thought about it. I'm like, okay, we've got your typical telco type partners, and you've got the SaaS type partners, and then you've got your SIs, your GSIs, you've got so many. For those that, and I guess I should ask, how many of you worked with startups? Okay. What's number one thing in your mind when you start with a startup? What do you have to do? Your first thing is get quick revenue. Like this. There is no time to go with the big guys. Even though you know you've got these partners that are big enough, there's just not enough time. And so I thought about it. I'm like, we have to have a very niche type of partners that can get us quick, which are the smaller SMB mid-markets. And don't get me wrong, we could do enterprise. But I thought about it. I'm like, we need what we can get to market faster, go to market faster. And so the priority was MSPs, small to mid-market, small, medium biz, mid-market, and then also the really, really small mon-pot type partners. Because what are their typical type of customers? It's like the little pizza shop or a grocery chain that's a smaller one, small, really, type of customers that don't even think about storage other than I've got Dropbox. Oh, I've got Google, I've got Apple. But when do you change that when you start running out of storage for that data that you're, using? And you're saying you're growing in the next 2 to 3 years. So your thought is you've got to start working with those types of partners first to grab that revenue as quickly as possible. So that's where I kind of looked at it and said, let me take a look at some of these partners that we currently have and see if it fits. And for the ones that were literally the telco and all it is telecom, I'm like, I don't have time for that. Don't get me wrong, they're still working with us, but I needed something that was quick. So, great question. Any others? Okay. Yep, that's okay.
So you said that like the first week you got 10 potential that came through. So
Yep.
what happens when somebody signs up and goes through? How do you vet them, decide if they're a good fit for you?
Well, anything with I'm kidding. No, so we will take, the ones that I noticed, probably out of the 10, probably a good 6 I've already worked with in the past. It's just a different group that I haven't worked with. So I would literally take a look at the other 4 that I'm not familiar with and actually go to the TD SYNNEX rep and go, okay, give me a little more information about each of these partners because I have no clue who they are. And either it would be a couple things. What type of services do they sell? Do they have their own professional services arm? Because a lot of these partners go, well, storage is storage. I'm the one who does all the business for the customer anyway. I'm the POC, so it doesn't matter. I need to take also a look at what type of resources do they have? And then what is their revenue? How much do they sell? Because a lot of these partners also are like, oh, are you doing MRR or are you ARR? And software is, as we know, annual, not monthly. And sometimes they'll be like, well, can you convert that billing into monthly? Being a startup, guess what? I'm very nimble. I'm going to do it. I need any revenue. So that's where it also comes down to what are you capable of doing as a company? So I definitely look at their revenue, their type of customers. Do they have vertical markets that they're really kind of geared more towards? And if that vertical market doesn't make sense for me because either one, the sales cycle is going to be 6, 9, 12 months, again, I'll work with it, but I'm going to continue to look at the ones that I can get in 30 to 40 days. For those of you that are not familiar with storage, you could literally turn up storage in minutes. So, think about it. Our iPhones, for those that have an iPhone, all the pictures that you store, it's in the cloud. Think about a company that can take that storage or that data and store it that much faster. Partners are still trying to figure out how to get away from the telco world and start getting into more of these cloud type applications. And training them on that is very hard because if it ain't broke, why fix it type of mentality? Why am I going to go into something new if I'm already making money over here? So you got to make it enticing for them, but it also has to be for me, worthwhile my time to go ahead and make sure that they fit my program.
Yeah, I guess I should know this, but I don't. What is success? Are you shooting for a number of approved partners, or are you looking at a different metric to say, hey, this is working?
Right now, I think the biggest is not the number, it's not the quantity, it's the quality. I really want a good set of partners that really understand not just a SaaS market, but the storage, because I think for those that are not familiar, the storage industry is supposed to, I don't even know if there's a word past quadruple, I don't know. Anyway, it's supposed to be like by the year 2035, it's in the trillions. All the storage that's put together in companies that are on site are going in the cloud. Perfect example to kind of give you an idea. What do you call it? Chest cams for police officers. in the last 10 years, the number one thing that they've had to have is that data stored somewhere, because all of a sudden a lot of these files from 10 years ago are being reopened. So they need that hot storage, the ones that they can get to immediately, right then and there, versus the cold that kind of sits there after the 10 years. And so for me, I'm looking at the quality of partners that can bring me those types of opportunities. And so, yes, I'll interview them and make sure that they fit my program. But quality right now is my biggest thing with the partners. And that helps with this, because I can scan through like the ones that I was asking, or she was asking, how do, out of the 10, how do I know which ones I want? 7 of them, I already knew who they were. So I was like, yes, these are the ones I want. 3, I had no clue who they were. So I had to go through TD SYNNEX and say, you need to kind of give me some updates on who these guys are. Oh, one thing, there was one that like, oh, they sell millions. And I'm like, millions in what? And it was telco. And I'm like, I don't want telco. Have they ever sold any software products? No. Okay. Have they sold UCaaS? They're just starting. I'm like, okay, let's wait. How about AI? They're not familiar. I go, do they know how to spell AI? I mean, some people even don't know how and what to do with that. So it really does come down to the quality of partners. Specifically for me, it may be different for you, but in a startup world, it comes down to quality. So anything else? Yeah.
I'm just curious, you said you were really passionate about channel, like why, what got that passion, and also what have you used that passion to help, this is maybe like a channel again, your creativity to, you gave us a lot of good ideas, but like what have you creatively done like outside of the box to get the partners really?
I think the number one reason, because everyone said, they go, are you ever going to go back to direct sales? I'm like, nope. No. You think channel stressful. Direct sales is even more stressful. You have a target. Yes, you have a target in the channel, but it's more of like an indirect target in a sense. And I think a lot of the executives these days are starting to realize, as a channel leader, it's not a revenue target. It's more of a KPI to get to that target. Like, and you guys are familiar, there's a pre-sales process, and that's us. We're bringing it to the table for sales to close, if it's a co-selling, of course, program. My program, it's all 100% channel. So for me, I think the passion is the challenge, which is crazy. Everyone goes, what? Every time I start with a startup, call me crazy, I don't know, but I enjoy the challenge so much, because I'm like, everyone goes, it's just impossible. I'm like, no, it's not. I like the impossible. I like to solve what can't be done, because, and I'm not saying I've solved everything. There's no way. That's why it's a challenge. But if you can set certain goals for the job that you're about to do, and it's always 3, for me, it's always to get that challenge. Each of my goals are challenges, but if I can set them down to, what was it? Someone told me, they go, bite-sized pieces. Then you know you can accomplish each one. But I also love the fact that I get to meet so many different people. You'd be kind of surprised, but when I was younger, I was a very shy person. I didn't want to talk to people. I didn't want to even come near people. And now I'm like, as my daughter goes, you're such a social butterfly. I'm like, I'm the social butterfly? Okay, girlfriend. She's all over the place, but it's the people. And it's not just because you get to meet people, but you get to meet people that are different in each industry. I mean, I met, oh gosh, when was it? It was in August. I was in DC for Teresa's Achieve Unite Summit. And she goes, you need to meet this individual. And I'm like, who? And she's like, and I can't remember the girl's name right now, but she's in the construction industry. I'm like, construction? Why am I going to meet someone in construction? She goes, there's a channel. I'm like, in construction? I go, what? And sure enough, it was so crazy to hear, but so every construction company out there has to buy material from a company, a distributor, a supplier. Each of those suppliers work with the channel. Not our type of partners, but believe it or not, this is starting to open up. And I actually was like, oh, okay, I need to learn more about this. So her and I talked, and I said, you know what? I think this would be a great call with Jay McBain. And he's the analyst at Canellis. And I call him, like, I text him, well, Jay, I need your help. And he's like, what? I'm like, construction. He goes, yeah, I'm actually starting to see this. And he's going, for those of you that know Jay, he could just go into, because he is so in tune with the industry. I introduced her to Jay, and he's like, okay, this is what's happening. So he's telling her what's happening in her industry. That's where the passion comes, because it's not just our typical channel that we know. There's so much more out there that's starting to come into play with our industry. That's why, for me, like when everyone goes, oh, you're a channel chief, I'm like, no, I'm a chief ecosystem officer, because the ecosystem is so much bigger than we know. It's crazy. And so that construction, I'm actually learning about it right now. I'm actually downloading information on it, trying to get an understanding. And I'm actually going to be going to TD SYNNEX to go, okay, who in this 30,000 of partners or so in North America is in that realm? Because it is fascinating to see something outside of our typical day-to-day. So that drives me to understand something completely different, because it's a challenge. So it's always learning something new, because I'm going to ask, is your day to day the same every day? No. Every day there's something new. So I don't know if I'm going over time, sorry. But that was a great question. So, and you were going to ask a question?
More than a question, more of a comment. So we're a SaaS software company, and we're changing our ideal customer profile, moving more up market. And so we have that problem you questioned earlier, right? We have thousands of partners in our program. Most of them don't fit the profile anymore of the partner we have. And that's a tough one, because they've been good partners, but they're no longer the partner we're necessarily looking for. And so what we've had to do is, we've raised the requirements on what partners need in terms of new business that they need to bring in to us. Because we're a SaaS software, we're focusing a lot more on time to get these customers launched, right? So, you bring us the lead, we get that lead converted, right now they become a customer. How long does it take them from that point on till they actually are making money, right? So we focused a lot on their time to market, right, to getting something launched. And then we've also started to focus many times we had partners bring us leads, but then they really didn't perform the implementation, right? So they would sort of bring the lead, and so the lead would sort of sit as an annuity, right, for that, where they're just getting a referral commission for whatever that time frame is. But they really don't have an ongoing relationship with the customer after they brought us the lead. So we've tried to really cull those kinds of partners from our program. But it's tough, right, to tell somebody that you've been working with for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
We're not interested.
That's a very good point. I'm going to ask a direct question to everyone. How many of you fired a partner? It's crazy, because, like you just said, they don't fit the profile anymore, or they're stagnant and they're expecting leads from you. And at that point, you're laughing. Yeah. How many times has your boss said, why do we always have to give leads to the partner? Okay. In a startup, that's the first thing you have to start doing. But you're absolutely correct. It's probably one of the hardest things to do as a channel leader, because you're like, well, what if they can give us more leads? And then you look at it, and that's kind of like the metrics. Somebody asked me about the metrics. If you're looking at the partners in your current, PRM, CRM, whatever, you really can't tell. You sometimes you see fluff, and you're trying to figure out who are the partners that are really going to bring that business to you. And I think that's why the other thing with this link that we're doing through and partner with TD SYNNEX is really going to help us, because it's all metrics based. This is now where I get to go back to my boss and saying, you know what? Sonia at TD SYNNEX has given us X amount in this much time, and here's the partners that are actually doing it, because it's in your PRM already, because it's already put in there. And so you could go off of just that type of lead source and knowing which rep at that partner company is doing what they're doing. So if your boss always asks the metrics, you're like, here's my metrics. You could literally do it with this. So Have I overextended my time? Sorry. Thank you.